How many nights on this journey, silent with nothing to say, faces are turned to the window, dreams slowly drifting away. Why can't you speak? Why can't you cry? Why must you bury your pain? Sleeping in rows, grown souls in silence, night after night the same. Buses that hum through the darkness, carrying secrets untold. Adults in lines of hard bunks together, still doing what they are told. Why can't you dream? Why can't you see? Why must you quiet your mind? Whispers alone in the stillness, truth left so far behind. The voices are still, the questions fade, hope disappears in the life they made. The doors keep shutting, the world moves on, but still they tell you to just stay strong. Why can't you speak? Why can't you breathe? The thoughts that burn deep inside, bunk beds in silence. No one dares to ask why.
Hey guys, welcome in, welcome in. Can you hear me okay in the mic? Please let me know. That little intro music was, actually I'll stop sharing, by Jojo Bananas called Bunk Beds, and the video was done by A Voice Down Under. Great song. Why is it making the screen go weird? I don't like that. Okay, that's better. See if you guys can hear me. Yep, hear you. Okay, so I'll just say hi to a couple of people and then we'll have a look at this inquiry. Hi Jojo, thank you for being here. Welcome in everyone. Irish Mart, thank you for being here. Okay. Sound is good. That's the link for Jojo's song. Check it out. All right. Awesome. So I'll just share this page with you guys. So present page. Share screen. So a little while ago, I did a video about the Victorian Government here in Australia did an inquiry into the recruitment methods and impacts of cults and organised fringe groups, and I just wanted to do a little update on where that's at, and we've got some feedback already. If by any chance the sound is too low or anything like that, let me know, and I can speak louder. I'm using my new mic, so I hope it's all good. And we'll go back every now and then and check on the comments as well. And I'll just take off. Oops. All right. Oh, okay. Anyway, no worries. All right. So we've got the questionnaire insights. So for the inquiry, they had two ways you could submit: either an anonymous questionnaire or you could write a submission, a full submission. So we've got the results for the anonymous questionnaire. So I thought it would be good to go through it. Also, they have started doing public hearings. So I'll talk a little bit more about that as well, and we'll look at a couple of them. Okay, so we've got lived experiences of cults and high control groups, insights from the anonymous questionnaire. So just repeating, this is insights just from the questionnaire section, not from the full submissions. And okay, just see if there's. Jojo says you did the anonymous questionnaire. Yep, so did I. We hear Irish Mart says, yep, we hear Phil's awesome voice loud and clear. Okay, that's good to know. All right, good. All right, so as part of our inquiry into how cults and high control groups, from now on, I'm just going to say cults because that repeats itself a million times, okay? But it's regarding cults and high control groups. So the inquiry on how cults are using harmful tactics to recruit and control their members, the Legislative Assembly's Legal and Social Issues Committee asked people to share their lived experiences through an online questionnaire. Recognising the sensitivity of these experiences, people were given the option to share their experiences anonymously. The questionnaire responses demonstrated consistent patterns of harmful behaviours within cults, as well as consistent impacts experienced by former members of these groups. For some former cult members, responding to the questionnaire may have been their first opportunity to share their experiences. So I think it's important to recognise that statement, that for some people it would have been their first time being able to share their lived experience. The committee acknowledges the importance of this evidence and thanks everyone who has engaged with the inquiry so far. That's thanks to all of you who submitted as well. There is not enough education everywhere about cults. People still assume people are stupid for joining a cult. No one joins a cult. You're recruited or join a community that turns out to be something more. People who think they could never join a cult without actual education are more at risk. We are all at risk. That's true. These insights provide a high-level narrative overview of the questionnaire responses. Okay, actually, I might just move my screen a little bit to see. Yep, to see your comments. There's practically no education done on cults. Shocking in this day and age. Exactly, and that's part of this inquiry as well. So we'll look at what what the recommendations were at the end as well. Um, yeah, and the link to the inquiry is there. Actually, I'm going to remove this banner. Okay. So back to, so the first part asked about recruitment methods. Let's just see what you can see. Okay, you can see that on the screen. So for most, their first contact with cults came through the people closest to them or other trusted networks. For those who were not born into these groups, recruitment often occurred at vulnerable points in their life, such as during adolescence or while experiencing personal hardships. 63% of respondents became involved with cults through family connections, such as being born into a family or marrying someone already involved, or following parents, siblings, or children who became involved. Others joined because of close personal relationships, including friends, classmates, and co-workers. People described how cult members deliberately built relationships with them to gain their trust and recruit them, often without them realizing what was happening. In this specific group, the person who recruits you never tells you, but is a member of the group and acts as a newcomer, and their role is to befriend you and pass on information to their higher ups about you. For people recruited into cults, initial contact often occurred in familiar, comfortable environments. Many people will approach in everyday settings like schools, universities, study groups, workplaces, and train stations. Yeah, we know they go to train stations to hand out their flyers. Other first points of contact occurred at spiritual or wellness events, such as church services, yoga classes, or retreats. I mean, I've been to a million yoga classes. No one's ever recruited me into a cult or even talked about anything like that. Where recruiters used shared interests to establish early trust and form connections. These connections often led to invitations to group gatherings, presenting a sense of community and belonging. In more complex cases, people were recruited by family or close friends during a time of personal hardship. People who were recruited this way felt that their vulnerability was exploited through promises of safety, community, and opportunities for personal growth. Separate to those born into the cult who had no choice, the recruitment of new followers targets vulnerable people. They seek out people who are distressed or in a weakened emotional state due to those horrible and sad moments of life, like those who have just lost a loved one or those who have recently been diagnosed with a serious medical condition, or single mothers. They will initially flood new members with kindness and support. The brainwashing and manipulation is intense. I mean, they didn't use the term there, but I think love bombing, everyone's or smiling and happy to see you and kind to you. But it's obviously fake. All right, so the stats showed, just go up a bit. Sorry, I'll go back to the top for the stats. 317 people responded to the online questionnaire. 80% shared their own experiences, and 15 shared the experience of someone close to them. And then for the recruitment method, they had the top 5 recruitment methods were through a friend or family member. They were born into it. 12% during a time of personal hardship, 11% at school, university, or workplace, and 10% at a religious or spiritual event. And 17% selected other. just go back to your comments. Thanks again, guys, for being here. So where were we up to? Hi, Brian Lucas. Good to see you. Good morning. It's too early in the morning here, and I've been up too long, as usual. I know. I hear ya. I hear ya. It's all right. Catch on the replay. Yes, please hit the like, subscribe, share. Yeah, the fake smiles. Exactly. You know, I was just remembering about when I interviewed the guys from Scientology in the musical, and they said they went in and they were saying they went into the org to see what it was all about. And they said that, you know, the people there were lovely, and I'm sure they are. I'm not saying that they're not, but they're trained that, you know, we've got these new people coming in, we're going to give them a personality test, we want to try and recruit them. So we're going to be all warm and friendly and smiley, right? Yes, Brian. Always beware when they're way too happy. All right. So that was on the recruitment methods. And then the other section of it, just go back, was on the impacts of cults. Harmful behaviors. So the committee identified 4 types of harmful behaviors. Psychological harm, which is behaviors that manipulate or damage a person's mental and emotional state. Personal restrictions, behaviors that limit a person's autonomy, agency, or access to basic resources and opportunities. Physical harm, behaviors that directly compromise physical health and safety, and other behaviors that limit a person's autonomy, agency, or access to basic resources and opportunities. I think that was a typo. All right, so talking about the impacts. The first one is, well, I might just do the stats here. They've got 95% reported psychological harm, 86% reported personal restrictions, 52% physical harm, and 20% other. Actually, what does this say? Yeah. So psychological harm. Just check the comments again. Oh, hi. Oh, we've got new people coming in. Thanks, Jojo. That was a great interview. Vinecci or Vinecki? You can let me know how to pronounce your name. Hey, Phil, I just saw you were live. I'll catch up later. It's 5:49 a.m. here in Philly. G'day, Philly. Thanks for popping in, though. Thanks, Jojo. Philly's interview with the guys from Scientology, the musical. Well worth a listen if you haven't done so already. Well worth a watch, too. All right, I'll go back to this. So, impacts, psychological harm. Most people reported a combination of psychological coercion, emotional abuse, and social isolation. They reported that their involvement in a cult completely changed their beliefs and behaviors. Many people with personal experiences described overcoming indoctrination as waking up. They explained how their indoctrination had prevented them from gaining higher education, developing critical thinking skills, or learning how to function outside of the cult group. Yeah, not just for some people, it's not just higher education, it's any education, but especially higher education for some groups that really target women and try to keep them uneducated. Okay. This quote, one of the worst parts is that I lost my mother. Before she joined the cult, she used to be a warm, caring person who was kind and friendly. She was someone that I could always confide in and who would be my shelter during a storm. She turned into someone who was hateful, someone I didn't recognize, someone I couldn't confide in, someone who was not my mother. It's really sad, guys. Another quote, they literally became a puppet and you could see the lights go out as they were totally drawn into the cult through subtle manipulative cruelty. So, these are quotes that people have put into the inquiry and they've been used and they will be used um, when the committee puts together their report and recommendations. Indoctrination was often deeper for people who were born into cults, where messaging was reinforced during key childhood development points by parents and their community. They reported experiencing a lack of connection to the world outside of the group. I see that growing up inside the group has wired my brain for very black and white thinking. I'm having to learn what I love and hate because I had no choices for the past 13 years. When I started researching the organisation, I had a mental breakdown. Yeah, right, your whole world is shattered. This is largely because you know that in waking up from the indoctrination, there is no way out. They say you are free to leave, but you aren't really. It's really sad. 82% of people identified there was pressure to remain in the group for fear of punishment if they left. For most, the threat of disfellowship or excommunication, followed by mandatory shunning, was a main pressure to stay in the cult. Leaders of cults were reported to threaten and enforce strict rules and instruct members to cut all contact with those who disobeyed. This often extended to family units, with parents shunning their own children and vice versa. Many people link this practice to a broader sense of isolation from family and friends. Apocalyptic beliefs were also reported to have been used to pressure people to remain in the cult. In these circumstances, members were taught that leaving meant they would perish with the rest of the world. People described how such beliefs shaped their everyday lives, making pursuing anything outside of the group, higher education, meaningful work, financial stability, or relationships, purposeless. Many people who responded to the questionnaire reported long-term psychological impacts, including trauma, anxiety, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, and shame. People attributed these impacts to their experiences in cults, including where they faced emotional abuse, coercive behaviors, and prolonged fear within and outside of the group. Even though I am free now, I still feel trapped by their rules and like they're all hanging over me. Okay, and the stats, they said that 95% of people experienced one or more of the following. Wow, it's a lot. Mind control techniques or indoctrination, pressure to remain in the group or fear of punishment if leaving, fear-based teachings or apocalyptic beliefs, isolation from family and friends, and emotional abuse. All right, guys, just check your comments again. Yep, a puppet on a string, manipulation and forced into debt and depression. Yeah. Yeah, the percentage is very high for psychological harm. And the link to this inquiry is in the description of this video, and also Jojo put it in earlier. Hey, Voice Down Under, how's it going? go back to any more messages. Yep, it's extremely high, but not unexpected. Exactly. That's for the psychological damage. Um, Lots of apocalyptic crap here when I was a wee one. That and Original Sin and the scars run deep. Yep, exactly. Exactly. Oh, awesome, Vinny. It's up to Jojo. Jojo has awesome protest music. Hi, Napmaster Kia. I'm also a Napmaster. um, yep, I might pin this one. Let's see. I'll put it in a banner, perhaps. Oh, no, that's not working. That's fine. Um, yeah, the link to the inquiry is here, and also um, in the description of this video. Any other comments? Never met a nap I didn't like, right, Brian? Gosh, I'm such a nap queen as well these days. Um, all right, so let's get back to the inquiry. So we just did insights into the psychological harm. Another impact was personal restrictions. So people reported experiencing a loss of personal freedoms, noting reduced autonomy and or a loss of personal decision making. I need to cough and get some water. On hold music, please. Give me a second. I wonder if I can mute myself. Yeah. Thanks, Irish. We'll catch you later. Lots of talking and I get tongue tied and I need water. Oh, good on you, Vinny. All right. So, personal restrictions included being unable to pursue higher education or, in some cases, education altogether. Engage with healthcare services. Good. I'm glad they picked that up. Choose where they work. Make choices about their lifestyle, including who they formed personal relationships with, including social, romantic, and family. Whoops. For many, pursuing a higher education was discouraged in place of devoting more time and energy to the cult. Institutional education was often represented as harmful to the efforts and teaching of the group, or generally a waste of time. You know, guys, in third world countries and communities where there is poverty, they found the biggest way out of poverty is to educate the women in the community. Because once the women are educated, they can go out and contribute in a multitude of ways. Obviously, earning of income is one way, but also having massive health benefits, things like um, pregnancy health and women's health and all that sort of thing. So, anyway, some reported that access to conventional healthcare or medicine was not allowed, and instead, members were expected to rely on spiritual forms of treatment. This had a disproportionate impact on disabled, neurodivergent, and terminally ill members. Wow. I would suggest also um, those with cognitive or psychological conditions who may not have got to fill out this questionnaire. People noted that cults often controlled members' relationships, discouraging connections with people outside the group. School-aged children were especially affected. Wow, that's dangerous. With many reporting experiences during this period of social isolation, bullying, and stunted social development. Romantic relationships outside the group were rare, and in many cases, dating or marriage required leadership approval, with male members' wishes often prioritized over their arranged female partner's consent. That's disgusting. I had no idea how to make friends, work with others as part of a team, no clue about how to advocate for myself on anything, no idea how to find information to educate myself. I was financially and politically illiterate. Female members of cults had their personal freedoms restricted to a higher degree than male members, often being seen as possessions of their families, husbands, and of the groups themselves. Many reported that female members were more often and more heavily discouraged from pursuing higher education, refused the right to work, and forced into unwanted marriages and relationships. As girls, we were discouraged from pursuing higher education, leading me to forego university and work in the family business. This lack of education made finding work outside the family business extremely difficult, limiting me to minimum wage jobs, which was particularly stressful and disempowering after my divorce. People indicated financial exploitation was common within cults. This often involved mandated giving, where members felt compelled or coerced to give significant parts of their income through donations or payments for mandatory classes or seminars. Some also describe financial exploitation through forced labor, where members were coerced into underpaid or unpaid work, such as recruitment for the group or domestic work. So the stats for personal restrictions, we've got 86% of people experienced one or more of the following: loss of personal freedoms, such as how they dress, speech, and movement, surveillance or monitoring, financial control or exploitation, restricted access to education or medical care, and forced labor or unpaid work. All right, what's chat saying? Let's see. Yeah, funny. Um, yeah, it's so sad. Definitely. Breaks your heart to hear all that. Yep, definitely. All right. So the next impact, physical harm. Almost one-third of people reported experiencing physical violence and or sexual abuse within cults. They identified that physical violence was primarily used as a threat or tool to pressure members to remain within the cult. Children were most frequently reported as the victims. That's disgusting. With many groups supporting physical punishment to correct perceived bad behavior and to shape the desired behaviors of group members. Some people reported experiencing or knowing other members who had been sexually abused by other group members, with women more frequently reported as victims. People noted that incidents of physical and sexual abuse within the group including instances of child abuse, went largely unreported to authorities. Some groups had their own internal reporting and punishment processes that excluded external involvement from legal or judicial authorities. These processes reflected gender biases, with women who reported sexual assault within the group commonly not taken seriously, diminished, or even blamed for their assault. Sleep deprivation was identified by people as making them more susceptible to indoctrination or complete devotion to the group. Some described how activities such as forced labour, mandatory study, or attendance at group services left them getting only a few hours of rest a night. Yep. So the percentages we had 52% of people experienced one or more of the following. This is in relation to physical harm. So you've got violence and sexual abuse, child abuse or neglect, and sleep deprivation. So we're coming towards the end of the impacts, guys. Let's just see any more comments. Voice Down Under says there needs to be laws against this abuse like yesterday. Crap like this has gone on for hundreds of years and it's time it will stop, definitely. And we'll talk about the recommendations they have here in a sec as well. Share on YouTube and Twitter. Please don't forget to hit the like, everyone. Yes, thank you. I think you're still in transit, right, T? Or have you landed? And 3 years ago, people in religions were made mandated reporters. It shows that it makes no difference. Yeah. So I'm presuming that was in Australia. All right, next part. Should have made a hot drink to sip on as I'm doing this because it's so much speaking. All right. So continuing with impacts, I've got other impacts. The questionnaire also gave people the option to use free text to identify the impacts of cults, and 20% of them, they left free text comments. Let's just see what this is. Okay. Many use this opportunity to provide more specific information about impacts, detailing the tactics used by cults to instill fear about leaving the group. Some provided explicit descriptions of shunning practices or how personal freedoms were restricted. Many people described leaving the group as akin to having to rebuild their lives. Yeah. They reported having limited life skills and felt that large periods of their lives had been wasted on their involvement in a cult. People reported a loss of ability to trust. For some, this manifested itself in a complete loss of spirituality and faith, and/or a distrust in charismatic leaders, societal institutions, and non-coercive groups, with a similar focus to the groups they had left. That's what makes me so angry as well. It takes away their right to seek spirituality and faith. They can't trust anymore. This limited potential options for people to rebuild or form new communities and contributed to long-term mental health issues. Yeah. The impacts of cults were identified as long-lasting, extending beyond the time a person leaves. On top of long-term mental health challenges, people reported facing continued surveillance, harassment, including to rejoin the group, and threats directed at remaining members connected to them. Yeah. Not good. Not good. All right. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Landed 22 hours ago, already settled in. Oh, how exciting. So T's gone on a trip. Awesome. Awesome. Very exciting. Oh, Shmart, you're free. Free from work. You can pay attention now. Cult members are encouraged not to talk outside the group. Yep, definitely. All right, guys. So let's see. Suggestions. So the questionnaire provided an opportunity for people to share any other thoughts or insights they felt were relevant. Many took this as an opportunity to share what outcomes they wished to see from the inquiry. People's most commonly suggested outcomes from the inquiry can be categorized into 4 themes. So this is stronger financial accountability, better support, increased awareness, and greater protections. So for stronger financial accountability, financial audits of groups, especially those listed as charitable organizations. Yes. Removal of tax exemption from coercive groups. Yes. Better support. Cult-informed support services, including counselling, housing assistance, education, and career pathways. Financial assistance for people leaving cults and high control groups, and financial redress for those leaving as well. Increased awareness, education in high school and universities about what recruitment tactics look like in coercive groups. That's a no-brainer. Mandatory education standards for group leaders. Greater protections. Legislation against religious coercive control. Yep. I think legislation against coercive control across the board. Create a body to publicly list, monitor, and potentially ban coercive groups with accessible mechanisms for people to report these groups. Increased accountability for group leaders who cover up abuse or refuse medical treatment of members. 100%. Yeah. All right. So I think it's important to say this to the questionnaire respondents. Thank you. The lived experiences that have been shared by people affected by cults and organised higher control groups through the questionnaire are invaluable. Your voices will help shape the committee's final report, findings, and recommendations. Right? Now, voices matter. And then what's next? The committee has commenced hearings to gather evidence from individuals and organisations. So I'm going to show you this now. Stop sharing this one. And while I'm here, any other comments? Nope. Okay, good. Remember to hit the like and sub, guys, while you're here. Voice Agenda. So I just found out that the 9-year-old is no longer working at the Purif. It's now a 13, 14-year-old. Is that in Melbourne? Can we report to Child Services? It's like being part of the Special Forces when you are told what you can and can't speak about being controlled. I think it's a lot more than that. I think it's a lot more than that because when you work for, like, say you work for government or something, obviously there are things that need to remain private. But seeking out a group that's supposed to help you in your either spiritual or personal life, there's no reason why that can't be spoken about. All right, I'm going to share the other screen. Okay. So, what I just read out, that was the results from the questionnaire. There is still the written submissions. And then the other thing that's happening is the public hearings. So they've already done one lot of public hearings, and there's some more coming up, starting from this Monday. So I might just show you. So the first day of hearings, I watched some of it live. So you can actually, actually, I'll just have a look at those dates as well for the hearings coming up. You can watch them live. So share screen. So the next hearing dates are, so we've got hearings. So these are the next hearing dates, and they stream them to this website. So starting from this Monday, the 13th, and then the following Monday and Tuesday, the 20th and 21st of October. And they list on here who the speakers are, and they will be live on here at the time. So this coming Monday, we've got these people. And then we've got, this is the previous public hearings. That's the one that I listened to. I listened to the first one of it. And I'm going to share with you this little bit from it. So let's see if we've got the right screen up. All right. So this is from the first hearing. Coercive behaviours outlined at CULTS inquiry. The control exercised over personal lives have been detailed during the first public hearings for the Parliamentary inquiry. The cult that I was a part of acted like its own state, Ryan Carey told the Legislative Assembly Legal and Social Issues Committee. So the first, that was Ryan Carey and his wife, who is, oh, it's not on here. Anyway, they were the first speakers, and they were the ones that were from the Geelong Revival Centre. So he says it had its own rules, it had its own enforcement, it had its own surveillance. So from the minute I was born, I might have lived in the state of Victoria, but I answered to the cult and the cult leader. I was controlled by the cult and the cult leader. So he's saying, you know, even the state's laws or the country's laws didn't apply. Anything was to be reported to them, even if it was a criminal action in the cult. It would have to go to the leader and was not to go to the police. Just like Scientology. Except Scientology hasn't written in their policies. Ryan and Catherine Carey were the first to present evidence to the community. They are former members of the Geelong Revival Centre and founders of Stop Religious Coercion Australia. Everyone should be free to practice their own religion. But what these places do is they abuse people under the guise of religion, and that is what is the main issue, Ms. Carey said. The coercive control that they perpetuate towards people has lasting, sorry, I'll start again. The coercive control that they perpetrate towards people has lasting damage for years and years and years. They outlined concerns about child protection in such groups, including instances when an elder was left alone with children and lack of systems around working with children checks. They thought their authority was higher than the law of the land, Mr. Kerry said. Investigative journalist Richard Baker, who has been looking into cults for several years and produced a podcast, Secrets We Keep, Pray Harder, also presented on the first day of hearings. He told the committee that the issues the inquiry is looking at regarding high control groups are not unique to Victoria. He also raised concerns about the messaging that children and young people are subjected to in such groups. I mean, it sets them up to think of the world in a way that doesn't really reflect where Australian society is at in terms of attitudes to gender roles. The committee has been gathering evidence through submissions and anonymous questionnaire. On behalf of the committee, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank those who engaged with the inquiry thus far, particularly the individuals and families who've bravely shared their personal experiences with cults and organised fringe groups. Okay, that was at the first hearing. I'll just play this one.
We've commenced public hearings for our inquiry into cults and organised fringe groups. We heard from brave survivors, Catherine and Ryan Carey, about their experiences with Geelong Revival Centre. We heard lots about how cults and high control groups control every aspect of your lives, from where you work, where you live, who you socialise with and what you do on weekends.
From the minute I was born, I might have lived in the state of Victoria, but I answered to the cult and the cult leader. I was controlled by the cult and the cult leader.
We've also heard a lot about the supports needed for people who are looking to leave groups like this, both the short-term and longer-term supports.
The coercive control that they perpetrate towards people has lasting damage for years and years and years, and that is what we're here to try and stop.
We heard from Richard Baker, an investigative journalist who spent years investigating cults and high control groups across Australia. And what Richard told us was that these experiences are not unique to Victoria. In fact, they're happening right around the country. If you'd like to follow on with our inquiry, you can have a look at our website and keep up to date as this important work progresses.
All right, guys. So that's pretty much it. It was good to see those because, yeah, as I said, you can watch the public hearings. The next one is on Monday, this coming Monday. You can watch it on the website, but I can't stream or download it. So even just to get that little snippet of the first hearings, that was really good. I'll see if I can watch it live on this coming Monday as well. That'll be good. All right. Any last comments? Thank you for being here, everyone. Please hit the like, subscribe, and share it. It's good to get that early feedback because a full inquiry won't be completed till next year. So, yeah. Let's see. You guys have anything else to say? Thanks, Philo. Very interesting to see the results. Yeah, to get these are all things that we're aware of, right? But you've now got it documented in a government inquiry. So that's the first step for a change to happen. From there, they will make recommendations. Whether it's new laws, etc. Education. This is how it happens. This is how change happens, or at least one way. Thanks, Joe. That's funny. All right, guys. I think that will be it. I'm going to play out a song, so don't leave just yet. All right. Let's see. I'm going to share a screen. Thanks, everyone, again for being here. And I'll catch you all later. Playing a song. Don't leave just yet. Incoming.
I got that feeling that today's gonna be a strong day. That today's gonna be a strong day. That today's gonna be a strong day.
Outro, guys.
I got that feeling That today's gonna be a strong day. That today's gonna be a strong day. That today's gonna be a strong, strong day. Hey. Step to the streets for the vibe. Sydney's alive, we're unified. Raise up your signs, let your voice fly. We'll make it loud, we'll testify. Move to the beat, feel the power. Chant it out hour by hour. Energy high, we won't back down. We take the city, we own this town. I got a filler. Shout it loud, let the world hear. I got a filler. Power strong, we have no fear. Yeah, I got a filler. That today's gonna be a strong day. That today's gonna be a strong day. That today's gonna be a strong, strong day. I got a filler. That today's gonna be a strong day. That today's gonna be a strong day. That today's gonna be a strong, strong day. Ay. Who's got a filler? Leader, who's got a filler? Let's move, let's move, let's move. I got a filler. That today's gonna be a strong day. That today's gonna be a strong day. That today's gonna be a strong, strong day. I got a filler. I got a filler. I got a filler. I got a filler. That today's gonna be a strong day. That today's gonna be a strong day. That today's gonna be a strong, strong